Starfield is almost here, and in this video I want to discuss 10 reasons why I think you should be excited about Starfield. From the game's exploration to outpost development to the deep skill system and more. So be sure and let me know what you're most excited for in the comments down below. Let's get started. One of the most exciting things about Starfield is going to be its ground and space exploration. Exploration will be a massive focus in Starfield, where you'll be able to explore both on the ground and in space. There will be a huge variety of places to visit, characters to interact with, and quests to get lost in. This is one of the most exciting aspects for me when it comes to Starfield, and I know it is for you all as well, since I ran a poll here on the YouTube channel and by far exploration was the most exciting thing for most people. Starfield and the settled systems will feature 100 star systems and 1,000 different planets to visit and explore. Some planets, such as the planet Jemison, will have large capital cities like New Atlantis. However, Todd Howard has said that this will not be limited to these cities and that you can land and explore anywhere on the planets in a system, stating, quote, "You can land in New Atlantis, but you can also land and explore anywhere on the planet. And it's not just this planet, it's all the planets on the system, from barren but resource-heavy ice balls to Goldilocks planets with life." And another cool thing that you'll experience when exploring these planets is that planets can have multiple different biomes. Bethesda's looking at things like temperature and radiation when deciding where certain biomes are going to be placed on a planet. And Todd Howard has described that you can get certain ailments if you're not prepared or well protected when you go on that planet. Some of these ailments that we saw included things like joint pain, soreness, or a cough. And as we've seen in the deep dive, your gear will have different protections or weaknesses to different environments and their atmospheres. So you'll need to try and prepare yourself for the different planets that you visit. Now, some planets will have a singular type of biome while others will have many different types. And the plants and wildlife will be different in these different biomes. So as you're exploring, there's going to be a lot of variety that you're going to see. Exploring on the ground is one area that we'll be able to do, but there's also going to be exploring in space. When exploring space on your ship, there will be a variety of things you can do and experience. You can hail the ships that cross your path in space, and you can engage with the passengers of those ships in conversation. You can attempt to trade with them, discuss various info, or you can just outright attack them. Some NPCs in space may even invite you onto their ship for different activities, such as a nice meal or even a fancy party. In space, who knows what all might come your way. There will also be different smuggling missions that you can engage in that will require you to haul illegal cargo without getting caught, and there will be legal cargo missions as well. And while doing so, you'll have to navigate through asteroid fields that are trying to smash your ship to bits. There will also be spaceports that you can visit. Here you can store ships as well as buy and sell them, and there are also ship technicians to repair your ship and allow you to customize it. And you'll also be able to find and hire new crew members for your ship at spaceports throughout the galaxy. Similar to spaceports, there are also star yards located throughout the galaxy. Here you can stop and chat with other NPCs and ship captains, as well as purchase ships here as well. While you'll be able to quite freely explore these planets and their ecosystems, Starfield will also feature 4 main cities that will serve as hubs for the main questline of the game. The first city being New Atlantis, the capital of the United Colonies faction, and home to the Constellation headquarters. New Atlantis is the largest of the 4 main cities in Starfield and is actually supposed to be the largest city area for a Bethesda game thus far. We've also seen the city of Cydonia, which is located on Mars and serves as the United Colonies' largest mining facility. There's also Aquila City, which is capital of the Freestar Collective and described as what's supposed to be like the true space western fantasy. The final city we know about is the pleasure city known as Neon, located in the Voli star system. Neon falls within Freestar space, and the city is very unique. It's located on an aquatic planet and originally served the purpose of being a fishing vessel, owned and operated by the Xenofresh Corporation. However, it's been transformed over time into the bright and flashy city that we see today. Another exciting feature in Starfield is going to be the game's expanded random encounter system. And Starfield will implement procedural generation for various planets and landscapes in the game. While I know there's a lot of mixed opinions on procedural generation, Todd Howard has stated that this technique has been used in Bethesda games for quite a while, even for Skyrim. So it's not a new thing that they do, with him stating, quote, "We do a lot of procedural generation, but I would keep in mind that we've always done that, and it's a big part of Skyrim in terms of quests and some other things we do. We generate landscapes using procedural generation systems, and so we've always kind of worked on it. However, it seems clear that Starfield will likely take the use of procedural generation to the next level, especially to help fill in those 1,000 planets the game will supposedly have." The game's lead technical director also discussed the procedural generation in the game, explaining that Starfield generates the planet as procedural content as you approach, putting together blocks of terrain. then places interesting handcrafted locations, creatures, and plants for you to find and interact with. Meaning that if two people visit the same planet, they can have very different gameplay experiences, which is something I think can really increase the replayability of the game. Because Bethesda has entire populations to fill on these planets, they are using new technology to help them take entire locations they built and place them on the planets. This also takes the random encounters that you get in a Bethesda game to an entirely new level, as you can experience random encounters nearly anywhere, and it now involves groups of people instead of just one individual character. Will Shin described this random encounter system by saying, quote, "Say maybe you're going to an outpost and you actually discover there's a whole group of people there with a particular problem. Whereas before, it might have just been a person coming up to you along the road. Now it's an actual whole location that can be put there. And maybe there they have a problem like one of our members was kidnapped. They've been kidnapped by some pirates. We think they're over there. We are actually placed in a whole other location with that person in it and enemies around it. So, it is a dynamically placed settlement that is taking you to a dynamically placed dungeon as you're walking through the planet." So here's to hoping that Bethesda have been perfecting that technique and the improvements in this technology to help make the game feel full of life and to help improve that immersion. I feel like the dynamically placed settlement and dynamically placed dungeon elements could really take Starfield to the next level. I'm sure that we're all very used to having random people come up to us in the Fallout series or the Elder Scrolls series and have some type of problem. Well, Starfield is saying that they're going to take this to the next level with not just one person coming up to you, but an entire group of people having an issue in the random encounter system. I just think that makes it sound way more incredible. If you're enjoying the video so far, be sure and hit the like button and subscribe. If you want to see more Starfield information, let's keep going. Another really cool aspect of Starfield will be the research and crafting component. Using a research laboratory, you'll be able to conduct research projects in the areas of pharmacology, food and drink, outpost development, equipment, and weaponry. By mining the valuable resources of a planet, you'll be able to conduct research projects to craft things from weapons to different spacesuit equipment and even items to develop your own outpost, which we'll discuss separately. Pharmacology and food and drink will likely require you to go out and collect different plants or flora, as well as different planetary wildlife or fauna to create these different items, giving you a reason to explore and find all that you can find. The equipment category will allow you to create different equipment to aid you in combat, which will likely require raw materials that you mine. So far within the weaponry category, we've seen different research projects ranging from barrel, grip, and muzzle mods to optics and larger magazines, as well as suppressors, which I'll definitely need with my stealth build, with these research projects requiring different materials such as iron, nickel, and sealant. Probably the most interesting and exciting research and crafting component is Outpost Development, which will allow you to build your very own bases on the planets and moons that you discover throughout the settled systems. And you can build your outposts almost anywhere on any planet. According to Todd Howard, outposts will serve as your, quote, home away from home for survival and resource generation. Outposts can be custom built and designed to your liking. They can have various structural components such as airlocks, walls and hallways, hydroponics, science and military hubs, watchtowers, and more. When designing your outpost, you can use a top-down isometric camera, allowing you to see the overall layout as you build. You can also do other things while on the ground as well, such as decorating and placing items inside your outpost to truly make it feel like a home. Your outpost will run differently based on the skills your selected crew members have. Your crew can then run extractors to help collect resources while you're even away. It sounds like Bethesda is truly trying to make outposts a really fun and engaging element in Starfield. As Todd Howard has said, quote, "You want to go and land on that weird planet and check it out and build an outpost and live your life there and watch the sunset because you like the view of the moons there? Go for it. We love that stuff." One of the most fun aspects of an RPG is being able to create your own character and immerse yourself into that world. And one awesome thing is that character creation looks like it's going to be a very deep aspect of Starfield. You'll have numerous options for customizing your character to help make it your own. From the basic options such as face and body customization, to more gameplay defining options like backgrounds and traits. Backgrounds in Starfield are sort of short descriptions of who your character is and will provide you with 3 starting skills. Now, backgrounds can affect the way that NPCs see and interact with your character throughout the world of Starfield. They will appear in dialogue options, and some NPCs and factions may appear friendly to you, while others may be more apprehensive based on your selected background. Some of the backgrounds that we've seen thus far include things like a chef, combat medic, cyber runner, and cyberneticist, to name a few. Now, traits, on the other hand, will provide your character with different advantages or disadvantages depending on your selection. Now, you're going to be able to choose 3 traits from a host of different traits. However, they are completely optional whether or not you want them. and there are some ways to remove them later on if you want. Now, some of those traits will relate to some of the factions or religions in the game, such as the Freestar Collective Settler, Neon Street Rat, or the Raised Enlightened. However, there are a variety of others as well, such as Starter Home, which allows you to begin the game with a small house, but incurs a 50,000 credit mortgage as well that you'll have to pay back. So character creation is another thing to just get excited about, because you're going to be able to really customize it to your liking to be who you want to be, which I think is awesome. The next exciting thing I want to talk about is the skill system. While Backgrounds will provide you with 3 starting skills, Starfield will feature a huge range of skills to customize your playstyle to be what you want it to be. These skills will fall into one of 5 different skill trees, or better yet, let's call them skill categories. Those categories being combat, physical, social, science, and tech. Each skill category appears to have at least 15 skills that you can unlock. Each skill also appears to have 4 ranks that can be leveled as you complete different challenges to increase their gameplay benefit. For example, within the combat skills that we saw, these challenges could be something such as reloading a specific number of empty mags or killing a certain number of enemies with a heavy weapon. Each skill begins at level 0, but their benefit increases as you go from level 0 to 1, 2, 3, and then finally level 4. These skills can affect your playstyle in a big way. Combat skills will make you more effective with weapons in combat. Physical skills have a wide range of benefits, from increased carrying capacity to strength to stealth. Social skills can allow you to do things like intimidate your opponents or mind control aliens. Yes, you heard that right. Science skills will allow you to do things like create better chems at research labs to increasing your ship's grab drive, which is what allows you to jump around the settled systems. Finally, the tech tree will also have some really cool skills, such as increasing your boost pack abilities to better being able to hack locks. Another really awesome aspect of Starfield is its ship customization. Since operating a spaceship will be a big part of Starfield, it's also important that Bethesda provides an in-depth system for creating and customizing your own spaceship. And it looks like they've done just that. Bethesda has described your ship as your home for you and your crew. So let's discuss the options you'll have when it comes to spaceship customization and the crew that will help you operate it. You will have full customization over the look and components of your ship to a very intricate detail, as Bethesda has described your ship as essentially another character in-game. In the deep dive, we learned that the game's starting ship is known as the Frontier. However, there are also a variety of other ships that we can purchase and then customize. To do so, you'll begin with your base ship that you purchase, and then you'll be able to customize and choose various components for it. From the deep dive, some of those examples we saw were the Celestial, Dragonfire, Slipstream, Voyager, and the Marathon. We also saw some stolen faction ships such as the Spacer Coyote, a Freestar Narcissus, an Ecliptic Claymore, and an Ecliptic Stiletto. The different ship manufacturers also have their own unique style, which will affect the inside of your ship as well, such as your living quarters, cargo holds, control rooms, and more. During the deep dive, we were able to get a look at all the components that you'll have to choose from when designing your ship. You'll be able to customize the cowling, the shield generator, docker, fuel tanks, grav drive, weapon systems, hab, engines, cockpit, cargo hold, reactor, bay, and landing gears. These components will affect the system's strength and capacity of your ship. This will include things such as your lasers, ballistics, and missile systems, your hull and shield strength, cargo, carrying capacity, number of crew members it can hold, jump range, mobility, top speed, and ship mass. And you can imagine that as you add or remove ship components, the way that your ship will operate will change. If you want a faster, more maneuverable ship, you need to reduce the mass. If you want to be able to carry more people and cargo, then you'll need a bigger, likely more sturdy ship, but you'll decrease your speed and mobility. However, ship components also determine what you can do inside the ship as well. There are various module options for crafting, for storing weapons, and more. There are 2 methods of ship customization. One method is a quick upgrade method where you'll quickly upgrade your systems such as weapons or shields. However, if you really want to get into building your ship and customizing it to your liking, you can go into the more detailed ship builder mode, where you can customize basically everything, from the different systems your ship has to its look and layout. And this is where the shipbuilding part of Starfield really gets fun and creative, and where I know we'll see some incredible builds. Just as we saw in the deep dive, if you want to build your ship to look like an animal, then go right ahead. If you want it to look like a giant mech, then go right ahead. The options are seriously wide open. Combat is also a big and exciting part of Starfield. With a variety of weaponry available to use, Starfield's combat looks like it's going to be a lot of fun, and a real evolution in gunplay compared to previous Bethesda games. However, you won't just be limited to fighting on the ground, as spaceship combat or dogfighting will also be present in Starfield. We've seen a variety of different alien creatures that we will face off against while exploring different planets. Some of these creatures will likely be docile until provoked, however we've seen numerous aggressive creatures that we'll have to contend with throughout the galaxy. And as we've seen, there will also be a variety of human enemies to take on in combat as well. From space pirates to mercenaries, combat will likely be frequent, if that's the style of gameplay you want. You can take on a run and gun approach or use a more stealthy build. The options are there for you. And he said that the jetpack or the boost pack will allow you to get around quickly and can be upgraded through your skills like we've seen. There will be a variety of weapons to add to your arsenal in Starfield. When swapping weapons, gameplay will slow for a short time as you choose between weapon slots on a weapon wheel. It appears that you'll be able to slot in pistols, rifles, heavy weapons, shotguns, snipers, and melee weapons into your inventory, as well as explosives such as grenades and landmines. Bethesda have said that Starfield has more weapons and weapon modifications than any game they've created thus far. We also know that dogfighting in space will also play a big part of Starfield's combat. Your ship's power systems will also play a big role in combat, as Starfield has looked to the game faster than light, also known as FTL, for inspiration. During the first gameplay reveal, we saw some of these components when our character was in the first-person perspective. We saw those 3 weapon systems of lasers, ballistics, and missiles, as well as the engine, shields, and grav systems. And if you want to be a real space pirate, you can actually disable enemy ships, dock them, and board their ship to try and steal it. The combat in Starfield really looks like it's going to be a fun time. Something that always excites me about Bethesda games are their factions and faction quests. Like previous Bethesda games, Starfield looks like it's going to feature a new slate of awesome factions and faction quests to engage with. Some of those factions include the game's 2 largest factions, the United Colonies and the Freestar Collective, who fought in a bloody civil war 20 years before the game takes place. We've also seen Ryujin Industries, a corporate-based entity who operates throughout the galaxy. There's also the Crimson Fleet. They are a group that you can refer to as the game's space pirates, who feel that the galaxy belongs to them, and they will use whatever means necessary to take what they feel is theirs. We also know that the game will contain some religious groups as well as some others, such as the Ecliptic Mercenaries, a violent group known as the Spacers, as well as a group known as House Baroon, who have been described as a group of religious zealots. The game's main quest is said to give you a tour of the settled systems to help you understand the major factions in the game. Faction questlines can be completed completely independently of each other, which means that if you do one faction questline, it's not going to lock you out of doing the others. So you can get a full experience during your first playthrough, which I really enjoy. However, you will also be able to influence the direction a faction may go and the decisions they make, including who remains in a certain faction as well as who lives or dies. Another reason you should be excited for Starfield, especially if you're a PC player, is that modding looks like it's going to play a massive role in the longevity of the game. Bethesda have said that the modding community is a big part of what they do, and they would like that community to continue with Starfield. In an interview with IGN, Todd Howard said, quote, "We love our modding community. We actually think this game for our modding community is going to be a dream, because there's so much they could do, so we think that's a great thing." I can imagine all the fantastic mods that will come to the game and help it be enjoyable for years to come. Here's hoping that Bethesda stays good on that promise and that modding adds a lot to the game for a very long time, just like what we've seen with Skyrim. So there are 10 reasons I think you should be excited to play Starfield. Be sure and let me know your thoughts in the comments down below and what you're most excited for. If you'd like to know all there is to know about the game, then be sure and check out my nearly hour-long preview of Starfield. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.